Picture yourself as one of the first explorers to step onto the surface of a cooled Venus, your every breath a miracle made from transformed acid clouds as you witness a sun that takes weeks to rise over a horizon of jagged, twisted mountains, and you realize humanity isn't just visiting another planet, we're waking a sleeping giant next door with a history entirely separate from our own. What if the simmering pressure cooker hellscape of Venus, a world with surface temperatures hot enough to melt lead, crushing atmospheric pressures 92 times that of Earth, and skies perpetually raining sulfuric acid, underwent a profound planetary scale metamorphosis, shedding its infernal identity to become a lush, temperate, and breathtakingly habitable world, a true twin to Earth, not in curse but in blessing? Imagine the moment the first orbital spectrographs, trained on the planet's shroud, detect a miraculous and precipitous drop in carbon dioxide, the breaking of a runaway greenhouse effect that has held the world in a thermal stranglehold for over 1 billion years. Envision the titanic geo-engineering, whether natural or the magnum opus of a hyper-advanced civilization that could enact such a change. Colossal orbital sunshades deflecting a critical percentage of solar radiation, bioengineered atmospheric processors sent in their trillions to sequester carbon and fracture CO2 molecules, or perhaps a spontaneous planetary cooling event triggered by a massive global volcanic winter that never ended. The very clouds, once a death sentence of corrosive acid, now begin to precipitate not as burning rain, but as life-giving water, pooling in the vast low-lying plains and ancient riverbeds long since baked dry. This is not merely a thought experiment in climatology, it is the ultimate terraforming scenario, a second genesis for a world written off as a cautionary tale, and it forces us to ask, what would we find when the clouds finally part? What would a habitable Venus look like, feel like, and be like? How would its geology, its day and night cycle, its very geography, shaped by eons of hellish conditions, now present itself to the first intrepid explorers stepping onto a world reborn? The first and most profound revelation upon entering a stable orbit around this new Venus, now perhaps renamed Aphrodite or Terra Nova, would be the breathtaking geography unveiled after eons hidden beneath opaque clouds. The surface is a world of extremes, a testament to its violent past. The vast rolling lowlands like Atlanta Planitia and Guinevere Planitia, once scorching plains of basalt, are now planet-spanning shallow oceans, their waters a deep sapphire blue, warmed by the still significant geothermal heat flowing from the young surface. These Venusian seas, though less deep than Earth's, are vast and interconnected, creating a world with significantly less landmass than Earth, a true water world with archipelagos and continents rather than massive supercontinents. The most dominant feature is the great continent of Ishtar Terra, a landmass the size of Australia, its high northern latitudes now boasting a climate ranging from temperate to subarctic. Its eastern edge, the mighty Maxwell Montes, remains the highest peak on the planet, but its summit is now capped not with heat-resistant metallic snow, but with gleaming white water ice glaciers, feeding rivers that carve through the rugged tesserated terrain of Fortuna and Tellus Tessera, landscapes of intensely deformed ridges and grooves that now form labyrinthine mountain ranges and deep, sheltered valleys. The equatorial highlands of Aphrodite Terra, a continent-sized plateau larger than Africa, present a dizzying array of environments. Its western half, Thetis Regio, is a high-altitude desert, its thin, dry air and intense sunlight a stark contrast to the cloud forest that would likely cloak the flanks of its great volcanoes like Mont Mons, which, though likely dormant, still whisper of the planet's fiery interior. The geography is not just shaped by its past volcanism, but by its incredibly slow rotation. A single day on Venus lasts 116 Earth days, meaning sunrise and sunset are week-long events of breathtaking beauty, with the sun creeping imperceptibly across the sky, casting long, slowly shifting shadows across a landscape that experiences months of continuous daylight, followed by months of starlit night, a circadian rhythm that would challenge any Earth-evolved biology and necessitate entirely new patterns of life and exploration.
But a habitable world is defined by its biosphere, and the question of life on a cooled Venus is perhaps the most tantalizing of all. Would life need to be imported from Earth in a centuries-long seeding project? Or could it have arisen independently, clinging to existence in a previously hypothesized aerial habitable zone in the cloud layers, now finding its kingdom dramatically expanded to the entire planet? The possibilities are staggering. The Venusian oceans, rich in minerals leached from the young volcanic rock and potentially possessing a different chemical balance, perhaps being more acidic or alkaline than Earth's oceans, could host entirely novel forms of marine life. Silicon-based biochemistry, theorized to be more heat-resistant, might have thrived in the past hot conditions and could now be the dominant foundational form of life, creating ecosystems utterly alien to our own. Imagine vast floating algal mats in the seas that are not green but violet or black, optimized for absorbing the specific light spectrum that filters through the remaining Venusian atmosphere. On land, the incredibly long diurnal cycle would force life to adapt in radical ways. Flora might develop leaves that can rotate to avoid the weeks-long intensity of the noonday sun, or enter a state of hibernation during the long night. Trees, if they exist, might not be made of lignin, but of some more flexible silica-based compound to withstand the strange rhythms of growth. The animal equivalents would face the ultimate challenge, migrating to follow the Terminator line, the perpetual twilight zone that slowly circles the planet, or developing incredible metabolisms to hibernate for months during the night and hyperactive states during the day. Perhaps the most haunting possibility is the discovery of fossils or even living relics from Venus's distant past, from the hypothetical time billions of years ago when it may have had oceans before the greenhouse effect took hold. Finding evidence of a prior, separate genesis of life, a second example in our own solar system, would be the most profound discovery in human history, redefining our understanding of life's universality and its tenacity.
The human response to this new world, this Eden next door, would ignite a social, political, and philosophical firestorm that would redefine our species. The colonization of a habitable Venus would not be like the tentative, hermetically sealed outposts on Mars. It would be a true settling, a new frontier with breathable air and liquid water. But who would own it? The rush to claim the most valuable real estate, the temperate zones near the Terminator, the mineral-rich tesserae, the shorelines of the new seas, could trigger a new era of geopolitical conflict, far more intense than any terrestrial scramble for resources. Would it be governed by a single Earth government, carved into colonies by existing nation-states, or would it declare its own independence as a new sovereign world, the first of its kind? The very structure of society would be warped by the planet's rhythm. Economics, work schedules, and social life would have to adapt to the 116-day cycle. Would humanity split into day folk and night folk, developing distinct cultures? The existence of a second abode of life, especially if it is native, raises immense ethical questions. Do we have the right to settle this world at all? Would our presence be an invasion, an ecological catastrophe for a nascent biosphere? The discovery would force a monumental philosophical reckoning. Are we alone? And if not, what is our responsibility to other life, even if it is primitive? A habitable Venus is more than just a new home. It is the ultimate mirror, reflecting back at us our deepest questions about our right to expand, our ability to steward a world, and our place in a cosmos that might be teeming with life, waiting just next door, under the cleared skies of a world reborn.